lesson is really, really cool. It was a lot of fun to really actually write this one, but it was actually even more challenging because, like, it's something that we don't really tend to think about as often, right? Like, or just like the fact that in my lesson, I'm talking about Jesus is enough when life is confusing, right? And what Danny just shared, like, things go wrong, right? And it's so hard to see, how is Jesus enough when my life doesn't make sense? And Jesus promises and God promises that, he's got plans for me and everything should work out, everything should prosper, everything should be okay, right? But, today I'm going to really kind of discuss the fact that, it's not something that God is doing, it's something that someone else is doing. But I'll elaborate on that as I go through. But I want to start off by kind of just clarifying something crystal clear, just something that we can all understand from the very beginning of this lesson so we understand how the rest of it may go. And is that the fact that God is not the person causing all this confusion in life. Life is not confusing because of God. And I'll kind of elaborate that as we go. But I want to start off with 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 33. It says, "For God is not a God of disorder, but of peace, as in all the congregation of the Lord's people." And in the Message version, it says, "God doesn't stir us up into confusion. He brings us into harmony." This goes for all churches, no exceptions. But the main gist is that God isn't the one causing your life to be a mess if it seems like it. God's not the one saying, "Oh, I'm just going to throw you into this whole chaotic situation and good luck and hopefully you get out of it and see how you persevere through it." No, he's not doing that. God isn't someone that wants you to suffer so much where he's willing to let you put yourself in a situation where life doesn't make sense, where you're lost, you're directionless, you're aimless in your purpose. So with that being clarified, that's my point, that, God is not the person, not the source of the confusion in life. Then who is, though? Right? Like, who does cause all this chaos in our life and this kind of maybe destruction or just kind of disconnect? You guys can shout out the answer if you know it.
Satan.
Exactly, right? Satan. Satan has been there since the beginning. Satan has caused confusion in human and mankind since the very beginning. He's the author of confusion. And as an author, you write things, right? You publish things. You make things known through thought and word. And he's been doing that since the very beginning. We can go back to Genesis chapter 3, verse 1, when he was talking to Eve and Adam and Eve, the serpent. It says, "Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the other wild animals the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, 'Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?'" Now, I'm pretty sure we all know how the story ends, right? Like, they both fall into, like, the idea, like, "Oh yeah, did God really say that?" And they both just eat the apple and then they're kicked out, But at the end of the day, we have to realize that, Satan's been there since the beginning, and he's gone through so many years, not even just through the Bible, but even today, where he's just confused mankind to who knows how many ends. And we've seen it, how it turns out in our world, and how the world we live in today looks like. But I want to focus on a certain part where he tried to even tempt the Son of God, right? In Luke 4, verses 1 through 13, I'll kind of skip through a couple parts, but it says in verse 1, "Jesus, full of the Holy Spirit, left the Jordan and was led by the Spirit into the wilderness, where for 40 days he was tempted by the devil. He ate nothing during those days, and at the end of them he was hungry." And I remember Stan kind of mentioned this last week in his lesson with sin, so hopefully if you guys were here last week, we can kind of skip through this a little bit. But in verse 3 it says, "The devil said to him, 'If you are the Son of God, tell the stone to become bread.'" And we'll kind of skip down. In verse 9, it says, "The devil led him to Jerusalem and had him stand on the highest point of the temple. 'If you are the Son of God,' he said, 'throw yourself down from here. For it is written, he will command his angels concerning you to guard you carefully. They will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone.' Jesus answered, 'It is said, do not put the Lord your God to the test.' 1:13, when the devils had finished all his tempting, he left them until an opportune time." Now, if you think about this, we got to put this in perspective, right? Not only has Satan confused man in their own lives, but he's even trying to confuse the Son of God. I mean, that's got to be a wake-up call to us, right? He had the boldness to go to someone who was born and destined to leave a mark on this earth. He tried to confuse and tempt someone that was born to lead many and to save many. And if anything, trying to tempt Jesus is like trying to push an elephant, right? It's like you're not going to get anywhere with that. But if you think about it, if he's bold enough to go against Jesus, he's just as bold enough to go against us.
Yep.
He's bold enough. If pushing an elephant is like trying to tempt Jesus, then trying to pick up a brick is like trying to tempt us. Yes, there's some weight to it. Maybe there's a little bit of fight and like turn from the gravity of it, right? But at the same time, it's still possible to happen, right? Satan is still able to confuse us in life. Now, I want to figure. The point is, when we are down in spirit, that means Satan is most powerful when we are down in spirit. You know, when you just have sometimes you just have a bad day at work. That's like Drake said. Or you have a bad day at school. And it can put you in this mood where you can just feel like, I need something to really just make sense of everything. I need something to really fulfill and really help me make sense of what's going on in life. And I want to ask you guys, when can we be down in spirit? Give me just general kind of terms. Give me general ideas or situations. Pam.
When family stuff come up, like parents,
Yes.
siblings,
Totally.
extended family.
Awesome. Anyone else? Justin.
I think when school can be really overwhelming, it's like exhausting.
Yep.
You can't
Yep.
stop.
Totally agree. Anyone else?
When we feel alone.
Yep.
Beyond the friend.
Totally. Yep. Anyone else? But yeah, Grant, go for it. Go for it. No.
When we feel like we can't overcome something.
Yeah. No. Totally. Right. I mean, obviously, yeah, we got hard days, but we also got family, right? We got family issues. We might have anxiety, depression, loneliness, right? We kind of feel why am I feeling all these things? Why do I feel so alone? This is so confusing. Why is God allowing me? But like I said, at the end of the day, it's not God, right? And it can also be with sin when we're struggling with stuff, right? It could be with lying, maybe cheating, stealing. Maybe it's pornography, masturbation. Maybe it's just laziness to be, take up your cross daily. Just be a disciple every day, right? But I want you guys to go a lot deeper. I want you guys to figure out personal experiences. What are some of the ways that Satan has tried to throw you into confusion? While you guys are thinking about it, I'll take maybe one or two, but just think about it. But I want to kind of be open with you guys about what's going on. So I've had, in the last week, I've just been struggling with one of my best friends. He's just decided to take a new direction in life, and it's tough, and it's so hard to be saying God, why are you allowing this to happen? And what I don't understand. You're confusing me, God. He's my best friend. How are you gonna allow him to just lead all us like this? But it's I struggle with just frustration and just confusion, and I just tell myself why me? Why is life so confusing, God? You say you have a plan for me that's prosperous, and but why am I suffering right now? Why am I so frustrated with you? Why am I so frustrated with him? Why am I feeling I just can't really trust you in the moment? I put so much faith in you that you would provide for me, but now I just feel I can't even I just feel lost. I just felt lost. I felt aimless. I just felt life is confusing, God. Make sense of this. I don't understand what you want me to do. But I've just been opening up to guys, and I've just been telling them I feel frustrated. I feel lost. I feel I don't know where to put my frustration. I don't know what to do with it. I think that helps a lot because just having all these feelings inside sometimes, whether it's the situation what you're going through, whether it's similar to me or something else, but never holding it in is never the answer.
Yeah.
Being open with people is the answer. Expressing those feelings, getting perspectives on what's going on. Another thing I've been doing is also I've been praying. I've been praying effortlessly. Every day. Whenever I feel in my heart that I just feel I'm not getting anywhere in my life with just how I'm feeling through the situation, then I just pray to God. God expects us to pour himself out to us. He doesn't want us to really feel oh God, you know my heart and everything. No, he wants to talk to you. He wants us to talk to him.
Yeah.
That's the relationship. In a relationship, you don't just sit there and you just kind of expect the other person oh yeah, you know what I'm thinking. Oh yeah, you know. No, it doesn't work like that. Unless you say something,
Yeah.
then the other person can help. God can't help us when we just sit in silence
Yeah.
and let these feelings just like kind of just like must in like ourselves. But like that's just what I've been going through last. That's like when Satan's been trying to make confusing to me. But has anyone else been going through something? Shane?
I'm actually feeling like exactly the same way as you. It's been really hard, but yeah, I definitely like know what you're feeling, and I think also just like thinking about it, like a lot of like my friends, like last semester and now like apparently this semester too, like are just like deciding to like either like take a new direction in life, and like I just I'm just like really confused and
Yeah.
like sad and like yeah, it's just I don't really yeah, but I feel how you're feeling exactly.
Totally. Awesome. Anyone else? Anthony?
I think it's just for me. I definitely feel like I definitely deal with a lot of loneliness, especially my whole life. Cause I feel like I can be a really loving person, right? I give my heart out, and I just feel like not everyone like reciprocates that. And so whenever nobody like gives that love back to me, I'm just like freaking at you, and it kind of like puts me into that dark place where I'm like just thinking like, dude, why does that person not like me?
Yeah.
Am I not loved? And that could be like really easy for Satan to tempt me to turn to
Yeah.
other things instead of him.
Yeah. Great.
I think I've shared this story many times, but I think like right when I became a disciple and committed my life to God, my childhood friend passed away a couple weeks after. And I think that was like the moment where I was like, I just became a disciple. Like this is like the moment where you're supposed to just live your life for God. And then my friend passes away, and it's kind of like I just questioned a lot about my faith. And just questioned a lot about God.
Yeah.
And I think like what you said, like you turn to so many things, and I spent like a year and a half, 2 years just doing my own thing. Just suicidal, anxiety, depression, just so much of my life that's affected today just came from that one moment. And it's just confusing. It's like, if God is so good, then like why did that happen to me?
Yeah.
But I see now that's like, it shaped me to the man who I am today.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Look, like I said, life is confusing at times, and it's not. God's not saying it won't be, but at the end of the day, it's who do you go to?
Yeah.
Who do you say is the person or something that is like your source of relief? But at the end of the day, to kind of round out the point, going to the second point, I want you guys to think that Satan's greatest form of confusion is lying to us. He deceives constantly. He is known to be a liar from the beginning to the end of the Bible. And even today, in our lives, constantly, day after day, even when the times we're down in spirit, In John chapter 8, verse 44, in the Passion translation, it says, "You are the offspring of your father, the devil, and you serve your father very well, passionately carrying out his desires. He's been a murderer right from the start. He's never stood with the one who is the true prince, for he's full of nothing but lies. Lying is his native tongue. He's a master of deception and the father of lies." But I want you guys to tell me, like, what are some lies that Satan can tell you, when life's confusing or when you're down in spirit?
I think like for me, a lot of the times if I forego reading my Bible,
Mhm.
even if it's like especially in consecutive days, like a lot of the lies that I fall to are, oh, he's upset with you, God's
Yeah.
upset with you for not reading the Bible, so there's no point in reading it, or your heart's not going to be in it, so let's not read it today, we're going to push it back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or we'll start off tomorrow's day reading the Bible, and if I miss it, then oh well, then
Mm.
so
Definitely. Yeah. Karen.
I think for me it's that I'm never enough. Like I'm not spiritual enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, that I will never be enough.
Yeah.
I think you can also do the opposite, where you think I am spiritual enough and I don't really need to go deeper anymore because I've conquered all.
Definitely. Yeah. Of course.
I think personally, I think one big lie is that I'm not worth living.
Mm.
I think that's big.
Totally. Anyone else?
I think it's the lie that
Yeah.
you can't win. And win is winning, so.
Yeah, that's what I think for me, definitely like these are I have some on the screen that are definitely like examples that stuff I've felt sometimes that like when I'm down in spirit. But it says God is mad at you. God is forsaking you. God won't forgive you. God won't love you the same after what you've done. Are you even a good Christian? What's the point of trying anymore? This is all God's fault. These are all the lies that Satan can just warp in our minds, in our souls, in our hearts to think against God when we're down in spirit. But one of the biggest things that he can tell us, one of the biggest things he can lie to us about, is that Jesus is not enough. He can tell you, oh, you want to live your life a certain way? Go do it. You know why? Because Jesus is not enough. Go be who you want to be. Because God is prohibiting you from reaching your full potential. God is stopping you from and limiting you from being the person that you really want to be. Maybe it's someone super famous. Maybe it's someone that's super popular. But like, Jesus is not enough because Jesus is not going to give you those things that you want to prosper in life. But at the end of the day, that's a huge lie.
Yeah.
That's the biggest lie he can tell you, because Jesus does everything he can to save you from what the world offers you, from what Satan offers you. I want to kind of round it out, just some takeaways, but I want you guys at 1 Peter 5:8, I want you guys to be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Guys, because they will come. When we are down in spirit, and I don't want to deny when we will be. Don't know when and how soon it will come, or how later in life it will come. But when it does come, we need to be aware that Satan is waiting. Because if you've seen a lion wait in the savannah waiting to pounce on a gazelle, it's not just looking, it's not constantly saying, hey, I'm right here. He's waiting, he's patient. He hides in certain places. He waits for the perfect opportunity and then he gets at you. But he makes the most effort of every opportunity. The more times you are down in spirit, the more times he will come after you. He does not waste an opportunity. So we need to be alert with that. In Proverbs 3:5-6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him and he will make your path straight. Times that when we are down in spirit, when we're confused about life, it's easy for us to say, it's hard for me to say, I can depend on myself. Why do I have to trust God? I've made it this far in life. I think I can do it. I can be the one to really run my life. But that's Satan feeding you lies, right? He's giving you the idea that you don't need God. Jesus is not enough. And that's when we lean our own understanding. That's when we can get lost. We can be confused in what we are and what our purpose is in life. But in all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Because we've got to remember, guys, God is not the one causing the confusion. It's Satan. And if we invest our time in God, he will make what seems confusing understandable.
Yeah.
He makes what seems confusing straight and true. Right? Last one, Philippians 4:6-7 says, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends over all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus, guys. Like I said with my situation, it takes a lot of prayer. And making every effort in every situation. Because, if we don't open up, if we don't pray to people, if we don't find ways to really move in our lives, that way we can make room for Jesus and pour ourselves out and remove ourselves from the equation and let Jesus come in and work through us to make what seems confusing straight, what seems confusing understandable. But that is my lesson for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for listening.
Amen.
Appreciate it.